Hi everyone, I'm Gabrielle,
I'm Adam.
I'm Haonan.
and today we're going to be talking about the challenges in the hospitality industry in post COVID-19.
Sustainability is always a hot topic, especially in the hospitality industry. Some of you might not quite know or notice what the hospitality industry has done for sustainable development. So let's review the previous efforts first. When we talk about the sustainability in food and beverage, the huge amount of food waste might come first in our mind. Many corporations also notice this problem. To ameliorate this situation, they had launched some new technologies and strategies. The first was investing in product like shelf life extenders. This invention improves the quality of product while it's being stored by reducing the respiration rate and increasing resistance to acid. As the slide shows, Hazel Technologies is a great example. Do you notice the small packets with the fruits? They are the shelf life extenders that can be used in the supply chain during packing and shipping. In addition to reduce food waste by extending the storing time, another strategy is also effective to be sustainable. I don't know if you do the same. Every time when I shop in grocery stores, I kind of prefer to pick the foods with good looking. And I guess I'm not the only one doing this because we could always see fruits and vegetables go unpicked in fields or get thrown away at the store simply because they don't meet certain aesthetic standards. In the past few years, an innovative strategy called ugly produce had been introduced. Companies such as Misfits provided consumers with the convenience and the savings of agricultural products that could otherwise be discarded. This strategy gives these items a second life and reduces the food waste. Donating food was another effort for sustainable development. By donating to the communities in need, companies help reduce food waste and hunger. Many local food banks pick up food donations free of charge, saving disposal costs. Apps like Meal Connect make it easier than ever to connect donors with surplus food to their local food banks and their partners. When food and beverage industry contributed um, lots of efforts to reduce the food waste, airlines also try to reduce the carbon footprint by using aviation biofuel. Aviation biofuel could cut the carbon footprint of airlines by up to 80%. In the past few years, many carriers like Qantas, Virgin Atlantic, and KLM have flown flights powered by biofuel. In the hospitality industry, well, most often, different branches worked hard for sustainability in their own fields. For some common issues, they work together to overcome the difficulty. The elimination of single-use plastics is one of them. Since 2018, many airlines like British Airways have operated plastic-free flights. The restaurant industry has seen a plethora of legislation that seeks to ban single-use plastics, such as the grocery bags, plastic straws, and disposable cutlery. Food chains like McDonald's announced 50% of its packaging comes from sustainable sources, and 10% of its restaurants recycle. Many hotels are moving away from bottled water as the standard. Look for conveniently located filtered water dispensers, complimentary refillable bottles, and other options designed to offer guests convenient and palatable alternatives to water in plastic bottles. Many companies in the hospitality industry made many efforts to maintain sustainability. However, when the situation got better, the unexpected outbreak of the virus greatly interfered with this progress.
COVID has led to many negative impacts in the process of being sustainable in the hospitality industry. I want to first talk about one topic that many might not be aware of, which is food waste due to restaurants being closed. The virus has massively disrupted the food supply chain. Before the crisis, over half Americans' food dollars was spent outside of the home, like in restaurants and other food services locations. But with those industries largely shuttered, many farmers have found themselves without a market for their crop. With many of the restaurants being closed, farmers have been forced to waste their crops. According to the New York Times, an Idaho farmer has dug huge ditches to bury 1 million pounds of onions, and one of the largest dairy cooperatives, Dairy Farmers of America, estimates that farmers are dumping as many as 3.7 million gallons of milk each day. Although restaurants being closed during the pandemic is hurting farmers, it is important to mention that it's helping many food delivery companies such as Grubhub and Uber Eats, which now deliver almost every restaurant. However, this increased amount of deliveries has negatively impacted restaurants' efforts in being sustainable because we are seeing the reemergence of plastic straws, plastic, plastic wraps, plastic plates, plastic utensils, and even styrofoam cups and plates. Some restaurants who still have the budget still use paper or recycling wrapping. However, many more are using plastic or styrofoam because they believe it's safer, but it's also more convenient and cheaper. The surging amount of plastic in the hospitality business isn't only coming from deliveries from restaurants, but also companies trying to increase their sanitation to keep them and their consumers safe. In airlines, for example, I recently traveled on Air France. Um, they no longer hand out reusable hot towels, but instead they hand out individual wrapped disinfecting wipes, and they handed out multiple times during the flight. I think I got like 4 or 5, and people are wearing throw away the plastic gloves. And on airlines, you're only allowed to wear the surgical masks, the throwaway surgical masks, and not the reusable masks. And even though you use one per flight, imagine the stewardess and the pilots who have to use who are on multiple flights a day and have to use a lot of them. And in airports, they wrap the seats in between each seat so that to enforce physical distancing, and they wrap it in plastic. And also, airlines try to have one seat between each passenger, and this makes every passenger's carbon footprint a lot bigger while traveling. Even if it's the little things, like wrapping the food and the disinfecting wipes, the gloves, the mask. They are important precautionary measures to keep people safe, but it does amount to a lot of plastic and does have detrimental effects on our environment.
So a lot of people to help deal with the pandemic and the lack of being able to go out and go to a restaurant for a meal have been ordering delivery. And I know my family these are bags just from the last few days of deliveries because of that. And there are a few ways that people can still be sustainable while staying safe and getting food delivered for different meals. So instead of the plastic bags that I just showed you, restaurants could start letting their customers bring their own reusable bags for pickup orders. And one article or a few articles that I read cited evidence that there's actually it's not necessarily safer to use single-use plastic bags than it is for reusable bags, but there is a significantly greater strain on the environment because of that. Restaurants can also offer almost an incentive program for customers to not use the single-use plastic utensils that are usually included. So if they give customers the option to use them or not, a lot of customers may decide to just use the utensils that they have at home, which is better for the environment because you can wash them and reuse them as opposed to using them once and throwing them out. A lot of restaurants do local order deliveries on bicycles too. So if you order from restaurants that are closer to where you live or where you are at the moment, you might be able to cut down on carbon emissions from the use of a delivery car, for example. And also, a lot of restaurants have been partnering with this company called Dispatch Goods. And their whole thing is that they use reusable containers for deliveries. So they'll bring you the food in their own containers, and then a few days later, come back and pick it up. And then they'll bring it back and wash it and use it for somebody else's order down the future. Also, grocery stores, many of them are not currently letting customers bring their own reusable bags. But one option to deal with that is that you can actually roll your groceries unbagged after you check out to your car and then put them in your own reusable bags from there, which again helps cut down on the use of single-use plastic bags and is better for the environment. And you can also order things like plastic-free toilet paper online. I know a few months ago there was a big rush to get to the grocery store and stock up. But if you can find an option online that's better for the environment, it's a good way to stay sustainable and also stay safe and get what you need. Businesses, because they've seen decreased demand, they can shut off things like lights that they may not be using to light tables inside, and also cut back on waste removal, whether it be going from 2 or 3 times a week to once or twice a week to deal with the decreased demand that they're seeing. And they can also revisit their supply chain and see if there's any areas they can improve, whether it be switching to more local suppliers to cut down on deliveries or just overall sustainability in general.
Despite the hospitality industry's effort in staying sustainable, COVID-19 has brought back a plastic dependent society where people are occasionally being forced to pick between sustainability and safety.